Okay, so I'm Justin. I suppose it's I guess technically it's not a band anymore. I
Yeah,
guess
it's not.
I think I'm a solo artist.
You think you're a solo artist.
I
Well,
think
it's Big X. I am super excited to have Justin back on. For those of you who are unfamiliar, he was in GP for a long time, and now he's taking his solo endeavors. He's taking the truck out. So, I guess my first thing is obviously with the fallout of GP. How what made you want to like go with it in the mindset of being a solo artist as opposed to maybe doing another band.
sure.
I think that was really interesting, and again, the songs that you've released so far are far different than I feel like what GP was putting out at the time. So, like, what made you want to transition into doing kind of like a solo artist act?
Mm, there was a couple things. One was just the band had every time I would go on the road and play tours, I'd have to find a friend to fill in somebody's
Hmm.
position. So
Yeah,
it was never a core group, which was fine. I understand. Not everybody can go all the time, but it's like promotionally, I feel it's like a little bit inconsistent to see
sure.
different members. It appears not like a strong unit, um, and that's totally cool. But you know, I I was carrying a lot greater load than the rest of the fellas, and it just kind of, as a group, it just seemed like a smart idea for me to do things my own way. All the love for my dudes, I still see them pretty
Sure.
regularly.
Yeah.
Also, as far as the creative side, I always wanted to make the songs that I wanted to make.
Hmm.
Not that GP was music that I didn't want to make. It's just sometimes I want to put out a song that's a little bit more funky. Sometimes I
Yeah.
want to put out a song that's a little bit more, down tempo, chill electronic. Sometimes I'm in the mood to put out like a more hip hop type song. Sometimes I want to do a little bit more rock. Sometimes I want to do whatever I want to do. Um, and I thought about starting a new project with some of the people who I had been making songs
Hmm.
with,
Yeah.
and it just seemed like if I started the project with this person, it would sound like the songs that I'm making with them. Or if I
Yeah.
made a project with this person, it would sound like that. And I wanted to sound like all kinds of stuff. It's I want to sound like the stuff that I like,
Yeah.
that I'm
Of
listening
course.
to, and that might change. So um, I figured, do take on the full burden and do it yourself, and see where it goes. So far, I'm enjoying it. It's a little isolating,
Yeah.
doing like making drums and making bass and
Yeah.
making instruments that I don't play on my own. But it's quite liberating. It's fun.
I think I
It's
can
good.
respect that a lot because, it's very similar to what I do where, I I'm the core person, and obviously I don't have anybody else doing stuff, and I whenever I have like solo artists on, I can respect the drive to wanting to be able to just do it yourself and have the creative liberties to do whatever you want. Like I could do I could not that I would do a country artist, but I could have a country artist on and
If you
have
want
like if I wanted to, of course. And so I feel like it's very cool to have that respect and like and that craft to do something different. And I had the opportunity to listen to some of your songs, some of them being in demo form, and obviously some being that you've released. And one that stuck out to me the most was Scrape. I thought that one was very, very cool because it pulled from a bunch of different genres that I wasn't necessarily saying that you couldn't do. However, I felt like it was so unique, and like there's probably about a maybe like a minute or two chunk of just kind of like these really funky riffs that I was like, wow, this is tight. Like this is something I wasn't really like like initially when I listened to the song, I was like, oh, it's gonna go this certain way, it's gonna be this certain like sound, and then once it got to like that middle portion, I was like, whoa, this is really cool. This is very unique. I was just like really floored at how you just like switched it up and then you switched it back to like the sound you started with at the beginning, and so just that process by which you're kind of creating different things. And I think you kind of answered my point of like doing different stuff, changing it up, and like each song that I had listened to so far has pulled from like different genres, and I really appreciate that as like, you know, me to you kind of a thing.
Thank you, man. And that might end up being, the thing that keeps me from being like a successful solo artist, because I can't, pick
Yeah.
take a sound and stick with it. Because I think somebody asked me the other day, what do you want? What vibe do you want to put out as Big X?
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? What vibe do I want to put out? I've been Big X for officially less than 2 days, as far as like the first song has come out. Like, yeah, but you've been in the headspace for quite a few months now, getting the songs together.
Yeah.
He's like, well, what vibe do you want? You pick an artist, and they have a couple albums out, and you can say, this is the vibe that I get from them. They're an emotional band, or this artist is a lot more playful and fun. This artist is party. This artist is angry, aggressive.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I kind of want to be in whatever mood I'm in. And he said, you might want to think about
dialing it in
a little bit, but I don't know. I listen to all types of music for inspiration, and anytime I get inspired, I want to sound like that. So yeah. And it's real helpful that I can do everything right here at my desk. my band rehearsal studio that I split with the dudes, and that's a nice little weight off of my wallet every month. And I just build all the beats and all the music right here at the home office. And then if I need to record something for real, where I need like an isolated room, I'll go and record it that way. But it's been fun. It's been quite explorative. I'm enjoying it.
Definitely. Do you feel like you said you have, you're working with other people? Do you find that they are kind of, I guess, doing that like producer role of like, hey, like you were talking about like honing it in and stuff like that? Like, do you feel that a lot of people, when you've come to them with like, like I said, you've done a bunch of different songs, and some, like I said, some of the ones are in demo form and stuff, and I mean, it really does run the gambit. Like, do you feel like people that have like done production for your stuff have been like, maybe you need to kind of like, kind of tailor it to what you're looking for, and obviously you want to kind of expand your sound and stuff. So do you find that there's kind of like a separation of like, do I continue down like a specific path of like, this is what they feel like they should go, in terms of music, or do you feel like there's some stuff where you're like, I want to try to something different, like, and there's plenty of artists that, have kind of branched out and done different things and then kind of come back to their like full sound, but do you feel like you're going to continue to just push out different unique stuff, or do you want to kind of like maybe tailor it in a little bit more?
Time will tell, I suppose.
Time will tell. It's a weighted question. I feel like I said with your stuff, it's unique, and I'm excited to see like the progression and the sound and just what you're doing.
And I see what you mean by working with different producers, because I'm doing a lot more of that now.
Yeah.
Just because doing everything right here, I can sometimes cannibalize on my own ideas, and it's pretty nice to have a fresh set of ears, and minds, their take on my ideas.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's one thing to send a completed song to someone and have them just like dial in stuff to make it sound good, but it's another thing to actually write the song with a person. which is a pretty fun experience. Some of the producers that I've worked with, I've been really just like trying to cram as much like work the last few months as possible. Just I figured make hay while the sun is shining, so just get a lot of stuff in your back pocket. That way, when I come out, it's just like a song every month, song, because it's like I'm technically a new artist now, so I'm trying to put out as many songs as fast as possible. So I have worked with a couple of producers. Some of them, I would say it's just natural for an artist or a musician or a producer to want to put their own spin on it.
Sure. Yeah.
To a certain degree, and I think a producer's real job at the end of the day, where they really shine, is when they can make the artist sound like the best version of themselves. Yeah. So I think in that space, that's where the grace is, Yeah. Because there are some producers you go to because that's the sound that you want. And then there's some producers you go to where you want to like really bring out something in yourself that you haven't touched on yet. And those are the types of producers that I really like. There's some out there right now that are really killing it. Who, like Ricky Reed, is a huge inspiration for me, because he'll just be on a hip hop track and then a pop track and then an electronic band, and it'll always sound tight, and it's just badass. He's great.
But that's awesome. Well, obviously best of luck to the rest of the tunes you got going on and that you're working on, because again, it's really unique, and I'm excited for other people to check out your sound. And like you were saying, you're kind of a newer artist. So like who inspired you to kind of write this stuff? Like what made you want to kind of go about the different sounds? Like obviously you're playing with stuff like from hip hop like to rap to like some like funk, some like rock. It's all over the place. So I'm curious who you took inspiration from this time around.
This time around, I mean, I've always been an enormous trip hop fan.
Yeah.
Like all those electronic, intense, dramatic electronic acts, like from England.
Yeah.
That would on those like late '90s movie soundtracks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Prodigy or Chemical Brothers or Massive Attack or Crystal Method.
Yes.
Those fun like electronic songs that would put in like an action scene or like a drama scene.
Yeah.
It's just like I love movies, and the drama in like electronic intense film score type music was definitely an inspiration for me. So Massive Attack, all those acts that I mentioned. Always been a really big fan of Justice. I feel like I was talking to somebody last night, and one of their songs came on. I was like, you know what, they're more metal and rock and roll than most metal and rock and roll bands. They're doing it all under the guise of an electronic funk, Daft Punk type band. But I mean, the chords, the scales, the noodling, it's all metal. So I've always liked the idea of going for a sound but using a different tool for it. Yeah. So I think that's kind of, at least for this first batch of songs, I'm still technically in the headspace of, I'm coming off a good 16 plus years of being a rock and roll musician.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard to completely get off of that creatively. So the electronic thing has been it's been a helpful tool to segue into that. So who else, man? Who else has been killing it? Glitch Mob is pretty great. I've been listening to a lot. I mean, I have my whole encyclopedia of bands already in
the backlog.
So it's like I can come back to them anytime I want. I've been really listening to a lot of pop, a lot of electronic lately. So
yeah. I can definitely feel like the pop influence with like a lot of your stuff, and even like when you were in GP too, like that was some of the stuff that like underlyingly there is like a little bit of pop sprinkled in there, like just some of the like the like some of the melodic riffs, like some of the like vocal kind of like things going on there. You have that little pop flair, but again with the backbone of like rock music,
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So I felt like that was going to be again a big player on what you do for Big X. But I also feel like you take a lot of inspiration from like I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Black Bear, like Mike Posner, that sort of stuff. I feel like his I don't know if you're
I feel embarrassed now.
no,
I
but like
know,
some of it, listen to some of his stuff, and I feel like you take a lot. He takes a lot of inspiration from like R&B and stuff like that. So like I feel like you pull from some of that lane. So for me, that's what like when I was listening to some of the newer stuff, I was like, yeah, he's definitely along that like new pop kind of like R&B like flair sort of stuff going on there.
what is it? Black Bear.
Black
So
Bear. It's one word. Yeah. Mike Posner's been around for a very long time too, as well. So, but he's more like producer now. Like he does write his own music, and he's had like a few hits. But basically he's been a lot of like underlying like more like behind the scenes producer work. But
yeah,
that was some of the stuff like off the top of my head that I was like, yeah. And most people probably would not assume that I am a fan of that sort of style of music. So it's cool to kind of like speak about that because that's
sure.
something I want to kind of delve into, with the channel. But definitely cool to hear what you're doing. I have some fun questions as per usual. With the kind of change up of the from solo artist to band, if you could compile like a musical supergroup, who would be in your band?
To play with me.
Play in your band, yeah. Like if you were to add like people into your band, like who would you want to enlist with you?
Well, if I'm the guy in front singing, and these
Sure.
are
There you go.
I suppose I'd like some of the greats. I'd want Josh Freese on drums.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'd probably want somebody really good on synth. So maybe Trent Reznor.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
he said supergroup, so
Yeah.
I'm
Thinking
saying,
top of the list. There you go.
yeah.
I like it.
So you put Trent Reznor on the synthesizers and the arpeggios were good. Maybe Tom York to be right there next to him, and they're just kind of
Doing
hanging
one
out,
together. Yeah.
turning knobs together. And then I don't know who's that one bass player who's on every like funk album. He's this really tall like German dude, got
Oh,
glasses. I think he played for Nine Inch Nails. It's like Pino Palladino.
okay.
He's on like pop stuff you wouldn't expect on. It's just for the work, and then he's on like Chocolate by D'Angelo.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that throwback.
Yeah, that would be my band.
That
A
is
drummer, two synth and sample players, and then a bass player.
wow.
Maybe, yeah,
That's quite the group you got going on there,
yeah,
Justin.
yeah. They're my boys. You know what I mean? We just,
Shoot for the
you know,
stars, baby. I love it. Gotta have that.
yeah.
But my next question is another fun one as well. If there was one album you wished that you wrote, what album would it be?
God, I wish I wrote that album like that.
Yeah, I can see you racking your head for some juicy answers here.
God, there's some great albums out there,
I
man.
know, I know. This is a hard one. I feel like as the interviews go on, I have to ask the like real tough questions. So I'm definitely a.
I mean, there,
Oh,
there are there are albums that are just bare bones, but they're still legendary. Like Nevermind, it's just three instruments and a
yeah,
singer.
very true.
And there are those records that just span the whole spectrum, where there's some great synths, there's great guitars, there's great bass, there's great vocals, there's great orchestra, there's great singers.
Yeah. How about you give me one simplified album, like one that's like bare bones, and then one that you feel like is just like, like a massive wall of sound kind of a thing.
Okay. If we're gonna go bare bones, I suppose the first thing I thought of was Nevermind. So there's that one. I mean, it's a great
Okay.
album. It's one of those things where they just put three dudes in a garage and they just cranked out the songs and they just polished it afterwards, and it was amazing. As far as like the wall of sound, where it's everything, production-wise too, I think Vitals by Mute Math
Oh yeah.
is something to to behold, because man, that for me that inspired me in so many ways, like as far as artificial sounds and songwriting and vocals and 808s. Oh, I'm all about 808s right now. I can't stop. I've had to kind of like pull myself away after I get too much into it, and then one of my friends is like, "Dude, just go
Just
even
keep doing
further
it.
into it. All 808s. Make a song that's just 808s, man.
Oh
Like Kanye.
yeah.
That's it."
Awesome. I love both of those answers for totally different reasons. I feel like Mute Math is a very underrated band still to this day. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about them. They're fantastic. If you haven't checked out Mute Math, go do so. Just because you've lived under a rock, and I feel like you need to check them out. But my next question, Justin, we're going back to a previous question that I had asked to you in the last interview. I always got to ask these kind of things, but like, who have you been jamming to recently? Like, who's on your Spotify? What have you been listening to lately?
Who I've been listening to lately? So they're not a band anymore. I think they broke up in like 2015. I think they might have put out something right now, but they're
Okay.
called When the Ribbon Breaks. One of my friends told me about them. I think they're from England. The best way to describe them is they're like Mute Math on steroids or on
Oh,
crank. So they get some things aren't as, clean and pop and like easy to listen to. Sometimes they get a little progressive
hmm,
with their samples, but the vibe is very similar, and it's kind of like how Radiohead has some albums that are a little bit more well defined as far as
yeah.
like the vision, and some albums they're just doing whatever they want. And it's okay because it's Radiohead.
Yeah.
This is like a band that's kind of like that, but in the more electronic pop band sound. Who else? Who else? Who else? A lot of pop shit. Lizzo's great.
Yes, yes.
I got her record like a couple months ago. I've been bumping that shit regularly, man. Every song's great. It's a fun record. Who else? Who else? I would check my phone, but I'm talking to you on my phone. Uh, 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 Going back, listening to a lot of like Prodigy and Chemical Brothers, like I was saying,
Yeah.
that's just for inspiration. That's not for
For fun.
joy. No, it's for joy. It's for joy. I enjoy it. This is all for joy. Um, but one more. Who else? When the ribbon breaks. Trying to like pick somebody who's like obscure so I look cool, but also like I don't
You
want to be afraid to say somebody that everybody loves, because who else?
go
Who
with the
else?
obscure pick. I love when bands give me something obscure to listen to.
Okay. Oh, come on. I said Justice. Everybody knows Justice. Oh, jeez. So one of the producers that I have been working with,
Hmm.
he's always on Instagram hustling, trying to get people to share what they're listening to.
Yeah, of course.
He'll repost him listening to it and be like commenting on it, which is something I'd like to get into. I feel like it's more like creatively interactive than just saying, "Hey, I bought a yellow shirt, feeling pretty good about it." It's like, what are you listening to? I'll listen to it. We'll talk about it.
I know.
They're called Bones UK.
Oh yes,
It's two
they're
like British
sick.
chicks, and they're tight, man. They're kind of like Nine Inch Nails-y a little bit, and I love that. But they're also like kind of like dark bluesy rock and roll.
Yeah.
the girl singer has this canned effect on her voice, so it's kind of like LA Witch, Zeppelin-y, but they got all the parts that I like there, and they have this real sexy aesthetic. Like they're slick back, greasy hair. They got the leather jackets.
Yeah.
Their videos are real like sweaty and sexual. Real cool band. And I think they only have one EP out with like 6 songs.
Yeah.
But they're killing it right now, and that just goes to show how easy it is. I mean, I'm sure some people will be like, no, it's not, but how easy it is to make it in the music biz. You can make a song right here at your desk, put it out, put out 2 singles, and then boom, you're on your way. It's like never been easier, and I had followed up on them after really diving into that album.
Yeah.
And I saw interviews, and they were playing with like Stone Temple Pilots and another like equally large band. And the interviewer, yeah, you only have like 2 songs on Spotify. That's how easy it is at this point. So good on them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully bigx is the next one, because then I'll just be like, hey, listen, I got that first interview.
Take it easy, man.
Hey, listen, I gotta get him in before the curve. You know what I'm saying? So, but speaking about bigx, tell them about him, where they can find you at, and anything coming up in the next couple months.
All the socials have the same tag. This is bigx: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Still setting up the bones of the website so it looks nice and pretty. Right now, I'm just kind of focusing on putting out these songs in a creative way. My manager and I are setting up some tours for either the end of this year or the beginning of next. But I mean, like I said, I just have 2 songs out. So I have like, aside from the 6 that I shared with you, I have like another like 7 to 10, 75% done
Completed.
Songs.
Yeah.
I just want to put them out. I just want to put them out there. So yeah, that's what's in the works right now.
Awesome. Well, I know Matt didn't set this up, but I'm gonna give Matt a shout out because he's the boy. I like Matt. He's
if you're listening, you're a dead man.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I didn't know this was a call out video. So anyway, love you, Matt. Anyway, I also love Justin, and I also love bigx. So you should check him out. Links in the description. Obviously GP was one of those bands that they were on the mind, gotta look out for him, and I feel like bigx is that next thing. So check his stuff out. Check out our first interview. That was awesome too. Kind of give you an idea somewhat of like what Justin's about, but I feel like this one definitely we delved into a little bit more stuff. So always good to have him on, and if you like this interview, share it, like it, subscribe. It goes a long way. And thanks of course to Justin or bigx for coming on.
Brandon, thank you.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com, and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.